Have you ever felt this before? It's Friday. Your paycheck finally hits your bank account. For a moment, you feel safe. You look at the balance and think, okay, I can breathe again. But then, almost immediately, the money starts disappearing. Rent comes out. The car payment hits. Electricity, water, internet, phone bill, insurance, streaming services, subscriptions, food, gas, and all those small automatic charges quietly begin taking their share. And before the week is even over, your account looks almost exactly the way it did before payday. So what do? You blame yourself. You tell yourself, I spend too much. I'm bad with money. I need more discipline. I should stop buying coffee. I should eat out less. I should stop wasting money on little things. But what if that is not the real problem? What if the reason you are always broke is not simply because your salary is too low? What if it is not just because you lack discipline? The uncomfortable truth is this. Most of your paycheck may already be gone before you ever get the chance to control it. You are not managing your full salary. You are managing what is left after taxes, insurance, rent, debt payments, subscriptions, and a long list of automated systems have already taken their cut. In other words, your paycheck is not disappearing because of one bad decision. It is being divided, collected, and absorbed before you even get to decide what to do with it. And once you understand how this machine works, you will never look at payday the same way again. Most people think living paycheck to paycheck is a low-income problem. They believe it only happens to people with bad jobs, low wages, or poor financial habits. And the common advice is always the same: just make more money. But reality is much more uncomfortable than that. There are people making $60,000 a year who still end the month with nothing left. There are people making $100,000 a year who still feel like every paycheck disappears the moment it arrives. And there are even people making more than $300,000 a year who still describe themselves as living from one paycheck to the next. That tells us something important. The problem is not only how much money you make. The real question is how much of that money you actually control. Think about someone like Tyler. Tyler is 34 years old. He works as a marketing manager at a mid-sized tech company. On paper, he earns $142,000 a year. He does not have kids. He does not live in a mansion. He is not taking luxury vacations every month. From the outside, Tyler looks like someone who should be financially comfortable. But at the end of every month, his savings account looks almost exactly the same as it did at the beginning. Nothing grows. Nothing changes. He earns a good income, but he still feels trapped. And that is what makes his situation so confusing. Because on paper, the math should work. But in real life, it does not. So the real question is not, why doesn't Tyler make enough money? The real question is, where is Tyler's money actually going? Tyler thinks his paycheck is $4,100 every 2 weeks. Why? Because that is the number that actually lands in his bank account. That is the number he sees on Friday morning. That is the number he uses to think about his financial life. But that is not the full amount Tyler earns. His real gross pay is much higher. Before the money ever reaches his account, a large part of it has already been removed. Federal income tax takes a piece. State income tax takes another piece. Social Security and Medicare take their share. Then come health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, his 401k contribution, his HSA, and other deductions that never feel like spending because Tyler never touches the money. He does not hold it in his hand. He does not move it himself. He does not make an active decision every 2 weeks to send that money away. It simply disappears before he ever gets the emotional feeling of being paid. And this is the first layer of the modern financial machine. Money is taken before you see it. That is why so many people feel like their salary is not enough, even when the number on their employment contract looks impressive. Because you do not live on your gross salary. You live on what remains after the deductions have already happened. And once that smaller number finally reaches your bank account, it feels like your real paycheck. But in reality, it is only what survived the first cut. And unfortunately, the story does not end there. And the moment that smaller paycheck finally lands in Tyler's bank account, the second layer begins. Rent comes out automatically. The car payment comes out automatically. Car insurance, renter's insurance, electricity, water, gas, internet, phone bill, streaming services, gym membership, cloud storage, work apps, entertainment apps, meal kits, and memberships all begin taking their share. One by one, the money leaves. But here is the strange part. Tyler does not feel like he is spending money. He is not standing at a counter. He is not pulling cash out of his wallet. He is not swiping a card for every single bill. He is not actively pressing a payment button and deciding, yes, I want to spend this right now. Most of it just happens, silently, automatically, in the background. And by the time Tyler opens his banking app the next morning, the balance is already much lower than it was the day before. This is the dangerous side of autopay. It makes life easier, but it also removes the pain of spending. Decades ago, when you paid with cash, wrote a check, or handed someone your card, there was a moment of friction. You felt the money leave. You saw the transaction happen. You had one small moment to think about it. But now, that friction is gone. The money leaves while you are sleeping, working, driving, or eating dinner. You are not really approving each payment anymore. You are only receiving the notification after the money has already disappeared. And when too many automatic payments happen at the same time, your paycheck does not slowly shrink. It gets divided almost immediately. So by the time you finally look at your account and ask, where did all my money go? The answer is simple. It was already claimed. After the fixed bills are paid, most people look at what is left and think, this is my free money. But that is the illusion. Because the money left after rent, car payments, insurance, utilities, and subscriptions is not nearly as flexible as it looks. You still have to eat. You still need gas to get to work. You still need medicine when something comes up. You still have doctor visits, co-pays, and prescriptions. You still have to replace the laptop charger that suddenly breaks. You still need a haircut. You still have to buy a birthday gift for your mom. You still have pet expenses, car repairs, dry cleaning, household items, and all the little things that life quietly demands. None of these feel like fixed bills. They do not look like rent. They do not look like a car payment. They do not show up in your mind as permanent obligations. But in reality, most of them are not optional. They look flexible, but they behave like bills. And that is one of the biggest traps in modern personal finance. You think you have choices. You think you are deciding where your leftover money goes. But a large part of that money has already been assigned by the basic demands of everyday life. It is just not labeled that way. So when you fail to save what is left, you blame yourself again. You think, I should have been more disciplined. But the truth is, you were not really managing free money. You were trying to manage money that already had a job before you ever touched it. That is why the remaining balance feels like freedom on paper. But in real life, it disappears like another bill. And this is why people misjudge their financial situations so badly. They think they are managing their entire paycheck. But in reality, they are only managing the tiny piece that survived everything else. In Tyler's case, after taxes, payroll deductions, automatic bills, recurring charges, and unavoidable life expenses, his truly flexible money may be only around $250 a month. Think about that for a second. A person making $142,000 a year may only have a few $100s each month that he can actually decide what to do with. And when he fails to save more, he blames himself. He thinks he needs more discipline. He thinks he needs a better budgeting app. He thinks he needs to cut back on coffee, takeout, or small purchases. But the problem is not the coffee. The problem is that Tyler is trying to optimize a tiny slice of money while the largest parts of his paycheck were already decided before he ever touched them. He is trying to win the game by controlling the crumbs. And that is why it feels impossible. Because you cannot fix a structural problem by obsessing over the smallest part of the budget. You cannot build financial freedom if the only number you are watching is the leftover amount after the system has already taken almost everything else. So the real issue is not that Tyler is careless. It is that Tyler is looking at the wrong number. He is asking, why can't I save more from what is left? But the better question is, why is so little actually left for me to control? Because once you understand that, the whole financial picture changes. You stop blaming yourself for failing to manage the entire paycheck. And you start realizing that you were never really managing the entire paycheck in the first place. But there is an even more dangerous layer. The system does not just take the money you already make. It also learns how to absorb the money you start making later. When you get a raise, you think life is finally going to feel easier. You think the extra income will create breathing room. You think, now I can finally save more. But many times that is not what happens. Your rent renewal comes in higher. Your car insurance quietly increases. Your phone plan gets upgraded. You add one new subscription, then another. You move into a slightly better apartment. You upgrade to a slightly nicer car. You eat out a little more often. You buy the things you had been delaying for months. And none of these decisions feel crazy. Each one feels reasonable. An extra $50 in rent? Normal. Another $20 subscription? Not a big deal. A $40 phone upgrade? Manageable. An extra $100 on a car payment? Still within the budget. But when you add all of them together, the raise disappears. And the strange part is, you do not feel like you spent the entire raise. You just feel like life naturally became more expensive. That is lifestyle inflation. It does not usually look like one giant luxury purchase. It looks like small upgrades, small comforts, small conveniences, and small monthly increases that slowly expand until they fill the space your raise was supposed to create. So the system does not need to steal your raise all at once. It only needs to wait for your lifestyle to stretch. And once your lifestyle stretches, the new income is gone before you ever turn it into wealth. And what makes this machine so dangerous is that it does not hit you with one massive charge. It breaks everything into pieces. A $9.99 charge does not scare you. A $14.99 subscription does not keep you awake at night. A $19.99 monthly fee does not feel big enough to make you open your banking app and rethink your entire financial life. Each one feels too small to matter. But 10 small charges like that can quietly turn into hundreds of dollars a month. And your brain is not built to feel that kind of financial pain clearly. You remember a $200 dinner. You remember a big purchase. You remember the moment when one large amount leaves your account. But you do not feel the same pain when that same $200 is split into 15 small charges pulled automatically at different times throughout the month. That is why subscriptions, autopay, and small recurring fees are so dangerous. They do not attack your wallet with a loud explosion. They drain it in silence. A little here, a little there. One charge while you are sleeping, another while you are working, another while you are not paying attention. And by the time you finally notice the damage, you cannot even remember exactly where the money went. There is no single dramatic mistake to point to. No one purchase that explains everything. Just a long trail of small charges that looked harmless on their own. And that is the trick. The machine does not need to make you feel broke all at once. It only needs to make your money disappear slowly enough that you do not feel it happening. Then one day, you check your account and realize the money is gone. Not because of one big decision, but because of 100 tiny leaks you were trained to ignore. So what do you actually do about this? The first step is not building a beautiful budget spreadsheet. The first step is seeing the real number. You need to calculate your real take-home pay, not your gross salary, not the number that hits your bank account on payday. Your real take-home is the amount left after taxes, payroll deductions, automatic bills, subscriptions, recurring charges, and unavoidable expenses have already happened. That is your true operating budget. That is the number you actually live on. Because most people are trying to budget from an income number they never really control. The second step is to audit every recurring charge from the last 3 months. Not just the big ones. Look for everything. Streaming services, apps, cloud storage, memberships, free trials you forgot to cancel, services you no longer use, upgrades you do not even remember signing up for. Then ask one simple question for each charge. If I had to actively sign up for this again today, would I still choose to pay for it? If the answer is no, cut it, not later, now. Because every recurring charge you forget becomes a silent claim on your future paycheck. And the third step is the most important. The next time you get a raise, a bonus, or any unexpected money, do not let it touch your lifestyle for 90 days. Do not upgrade the car immediately. Do not upgrade the apartment immediately. Do not increase your spending just because your income went up. Move that money into savings or investments first, before the system finds it. Because if you do not give your raise a job, your lifestyle will give it one for you. And once that happens, the money is gone before it ever becomes wealth. For most people, the real financial problem is not that they are not trying. It is not that they are stupid. It is not that they are lazy. And it is not that they simply lack discipline. The real problem is that they are fighting a machine they cannot see. A machine that takes money before the paycheck ever lands. A machine that pulls money automatically after payday. A machine that disguises unavoidable expenses as flexible spending. A machine that breaks charges into pieces so your brain does not feel the pain. A machine that absorbs your raise before you ever turn it into savings or wealth. So the better question is not, why can't I save more? The better question is, how much of this paycheck was ever really mine to manage? Because once you see the machine, you finally have a chance to escape it. Your salary is not disappearing by accident. It is being collected, quietly, automatically, piece by piece. And the only way to keep more of your money is to see the machine before the machine sees the extra money in your life.